When I first saw the renders of upgraded fruit collection skin diver from San Martin, I thought, wow, they really took a good design and made it even better. And frankly speaking, after testing this watch for about a week and comparing it to the previous version, which luckily I still got in my collection, they did make a lot of really good improvements. However, San Martin also did something here, how should I put it? Weird is probably the right word, something that took me a bit by surprise because, well, first, it is not obvious on the product pictures, and second, it is not the type of design decisions we normally see on San Martin watches. So, in the end, did they make this watch better? Well, we have it here. Let's find out. Hello and welcome back. To be honest, the first thing that got me excited about this watch was something that actually doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things, especially compared to all the other upgrades on this timepiece, and I will talk about it in a bit. However, before I do, for full transparency, San Martin marketing team was kind enough to send me this brand new model for review and I get to keep it. No money change hands, and in return, as always, I agreed to provide a comprehensive review of this watch, and of course all the necessary product links will be in the description of this video. Right, so what got me excited first was the change that San Martin did to the back case. If you recall, the previous versions had a sterile case back, which, as I mentioned in my previous reviews, was a bit of a missed opportunity, and an exhibition case back, or at least a shark, especially on a diver watch, would be a much better option. Well, guess what? The shark is back, which is great. It does come at the cost of an extra fraction of a millimeter to the case height, however, I think it's definitely worth it, even though hardly anyone will ever see it. We didn't get a movement upgrade here, so we still get tried and tested a Seiko NH35 automatic mechanical caliber powering this watch, which I think is perfectly fine for this watch price point. It is one of the best, if not the best and most appropriate movements available for such budget segment divers. As for other changes, well, we get here more chamfers on the case, which I really like, and we have a change in the case proportions, which I am a bit conflicted about, and we will take a closer look at it in a moment. We of course have here a new H-link bracelet, which is built really well. However, this is a second area on this watch where I encountered that another strange change that I didn't expect and something that I wouldn't exactly qualify as an upgrade. And we also come to it in a bit when we'll look at the bracelet in detail. However, it is worthwhile to mention another not less important change, and that is the addition of new colorways, including this dark gray or light black with gilt markers, which I personally think looks really good. However, if you are after a bit more playful summer look, which is very appropriate for a skin diver watch like this one, well, there are plenty to choose from. And last but by no means least change is the price. We are looking at least extra $25 to $30 for the upgraded model on the FKM rubber strap, or an extra around $60 for the H-link bracelet option. As usual, I would strongly recommend spending extra $30 to $35 and get the bracelet option, because jumping a bit ahead, I can definitely say that it is worth it. And of course, you can always find an aftermarket strap if you so wish. Well, kinda, but more about it in a moment. Right, dimensions. So we have 40.8mm case diameter, case height of 12.8mm and lug-to-lug distance of 47.8mm. You might have noticed that I haven't mentioned the lug width yet. Well, I left it for the last because for some strange reason San Martin equipped this watch with 18mm lugs. As a reminder, the previous version had 20mm lugs, so why this change here, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, to be fair, the fact that I only noticed this when I measured the lugs probably shows that visually the 18mm lug width is not that much noticeable. However, I didn't hesitate to put it on one of my favorite 18mm boot straps, and I think it looks pretty good. Right, so the supplied bracelet should cover wrists up to 8¼ inch or 21 cm in circumference, and this watch weighs 150 grams exactly as supplied and 139 grams after adjusting it to my about 7-inch wrist. Now, examining this full stainless steel construction case, and yes, the major difference between the previous version, here are those high polished chamfers between the flanks and the top. This subtle detail definitely makes the case look more elegant and slimmer, even though, as I pointed out earlier, it is actually a fraction of a millimeter thicker than the previous version. The side screw-down crown is protected by the crown guards, it is well proportioned and is very easy to engage. Flipping the case over, and yes, the embossed shark on the bead-blasted background surrounded by the key specifications on the perimeter. And with the screw-on back case and screw-down crown, San Martin declared here 200 meters of water resistance, which makes this a very practical watch indeed. As for the crystal, we get here pretty much the same sapphire double dome crystal as on the previous model. Nice and clear crystal with sufficient amount of anti-reflective coating applied. Okay, San Martin could have possibly added an extra layer or two of air coating here, but even as is, the dial is very legible. And talking of the dial, well, this is the area on this watch that had pretty much no changes to it, and for a good reason. The dial design on the original version was very good to start with, very well mixed combination of various colors and textures that really pop. Like on this particular model, we have a nice play of shades of gray or shades of black if you like. The dial background has a subtle texture and gradient color fading to darker shades at the perimeter. And this black coffee color background brings out the gilt applied to our indices and hands really well. And as a cherry on the top, we get here a color matching date window. Taking into account that this is San Martin's original design, they did really well. And we of course get here a very decent lume. Here is my 15-minute lume test. Good lume application in all the right places. So absolutely no complaints here. And this dark grey with gilt markings theme continues to the ceramic bezel insert, well complementing the dial. The ceramic insert is sandblasted, resulting in a nice matte finish, a bit of a change from the glossy ceramic bezels. So, like the dial, look-wise, pretty much no change from the previous version, with the same lumed peep at 12 o'clock position and coin edge grip. And the bezel alignment is absolutely spot on, which is great. As for the bezel action, well, it is actually slightly different. I wouldn't say it is better or worse, but it is definitely different. There is a bit less backplay, although there is still a tiny amount present, and the ratchety sound is a bit more muted. But in general, the bezel action is pretty good, and to give you an idea of the sound difference, well, here is how both of them sound. Right, so the bracelet is where we will see the most changes. Well, it is a completely new bracelet actually. We do have 18mm lugs here, however, we still get a slight taper down to 16mm at the clasp. The end links are solid and the integration with the case lugs is almost seamless. The bracelet is well finished and all the edges and corners are well machined and smoothed out. And the high polish chamfers on the sides of the H-links continue the chamfers pattern on the case. The high polish middle parts are fully independent, and this gives this bracelet plenty of articulation, so it is nice and flexible and quite comfortable on the wrist. And while there is plenty of flexibility in this bracelet, the tolerances are still pretty good, and this is where I've got a bit of a surprise. I prepared my 1mm screwdriver to resize the bracelet, only to find out that San Martin used pins here. Nothing particularly wrong with pins, I have plenty of watches with pins bracelet, however, I'm so used to screws on San Martin watches, and like I said, the tolerances between the links felt pretty good, like the links were connected by screws. So using pins here is somewhat surprising and, like I mentioned at the start of this video, something that I wouldn't qualify as an upgrade either. However, the new milled double pusher clasp with the new on-the-fly adjustment mechanism is very good and definitely not something I will be complaining about. And here is how this watch wears on my about 7-inch wrist. As you can see, with the on-the-fly adjustment, I can always get 100% fit, which is great. Right, so for all intents and purposes, a very decent upgrade to an already very popular watch, making it a very versatile skin diver suitable for everyday use. What are your thoughts? Well, do let us know in the comments. However, if you want to see reviews of other great value watches, check out my videos on this screen over here. They were chosen by YouTube algorithm, especially for you. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and of course subscribe if you haven't already done so. Take care and I'll see you in the next video.